Okay, this is chapter number 16, Development of Organism and Continuity of Life. In this chapter, we are going through reproduction in plants first. In today's lesson, we will see what asexual reproduction and sexual reproduction is in plants and how they differ. And then we will see vegetative propagation. We will also see some artificial methods of vegetative propagation, which includes the method of layering, Marcotting, and grafting. Let's see the difference or comparison between asexual reproduction and sexual reproduction in plants. In terms of parents' number in asexual reproduction, as we discussed in our previous lesson, that the number of parents in asexual reproduction would be one. One parent would divide to give rise to the daughter cells, while sexual reproduction usually requires two parents. There would be no gamete formation, there would be no meiosis, fertilization, or pollination in asexual reproduction. Since only one parent is involved, so there is no gamete formation, there will be no fusion of them, nor there will be a transfer of it, that is the pollination process. None of these processes will take place, while all of them would take place in sexual reproduction. In case of asexual reproduction, identical offsprings would be formed, and in sexual reproduction there would be genetic variability, as we discussed yesterday. The advantages of asexual reproduction we saw in the practice worksheet that I gave you yesterday. It involved rapid colonization, that the process is quite fast. There would be no dependence on external agents for pollination. If you know from your previous knowledge that pollination is the transfer of pollen from anther to stigma, that would happen only in sexual reproduction, not in asexual reproduction. Only one parent is involved, so it saves time and energy. There would be desirable traits which would be passed on to the next generation without any uncertainty. On the other hand, in sexual reproduction, we see genetic variability. The offsprings would be better adapted to the changing environment. Harmful traits may or may not be passed on to the offspring. So there is some kind of uncertainty here. The genetic variability gives you a number of offsprings with difference in their genetic material. How about the disadvantages of asexual and sexual reproduction? In terms of disadvantages, asexual reproduction, since it shows no diversity or no genetic variability, the harmful traits will be passed from the parents to the offsprings. There would be less adaptability towards the environmental changes, and overcrowding will lead to competition for food and light. Here, on the other side, the sexual reproduction takes time, so it's taken as an disadvantage. Asexual reproduction in plants involve vegetative propagation. It is the growth of a new plant from any part of the old plant other than the seed. So you see, it's a kind of reproduction where you can use any part of the plant that would be named as vegetative part. Any part of the plant other than the seed is taken to reproduce the plant and give rise to a identical plant from the parent one. Flowering plants may reproduce by means of underground storage organs. These are the natural ways how the plant is reproducing by asexual manner. It involves the formation of rhizomes, for instance ginger, bulbs, for example onion, corms, tubers, that is the potato, and the runners. So these are the natural ways by which the plant reproduce by means of underground storage organs. Here in the diagrams I've tried to show you the same. Rhizome is a horizontal underground stem, for example ginger. Here it is the storage organ for the plant, but it may develop into a new plant when given or when provided with suitable temperature, pH, water availability, and light. Here in the case of bulb we have onion. In case of tuber we have potato. Bulb is a modified shoot while the tuber is a underground stem. A corm, the example of which is water chestnut, is a underground stem. Now let's see the artificial methods of vegetative propagation. There are many. There is cutting, marcotting, layering, grafting, budding, and tissue culture. All these methods are artificial, by which man uses different parts of the plant and help the plant to reproduce. So let's see the first method, that is of layering, where you see that the lower branch of the tree is lowered into the soil, and if you see that the roots started to grow from the shoot, and once the roots were able to anchor the new plant into the soil, it was separated from the parent plant and was planted into a separate pot. So this is the process of layering, where you lower down the shoot into the soil, let the roots grow, let it anchor the plant into the soil, and once it is able to support itself, you cut it off from the parent plant and put it into a separate place. This is marcotting or layering, air layering. It is similar to layering, but it is called air layering for a reason that you don't lower down the shoot into the soil. Instead, what you do is you cut it, you wound the shoot, and then you wrap it with the husk or any soft spongy material which is soaked in water. Then you wrap it and let the roots grow into this shoot. Once the roots are formed, the shoot would be cut from the parent plant and will be placed into a separate pot or separate soil place. This is grafting. As the name suggests, it's a process of grafting, where you take a root stalk and this stalk is then grafted by a scion. A scion is a plant part which you need to propagate, which you need to reproduce. Make sure that the cambium tissue of both will fuse with each other, and that will happen only when you will wrap it, when you will put them together and help the tissues fuse. And by this way, the rootstock will provide the nutrition to the scion, the grafted plant, which will again give rise to more plants. Here again, I have tried to show you the process of grafting. If you can see that the person have cut the rootstock, the plant with the rootstock, and then have placed a scion over it and wrapped it with the tape. This wrapping can be done with other means also. This is a graft again. The plant initially is cut, and a cleft is made to place the graft in. The scion wood is placed into the rootstock and then is wrapped to let it grow.